After a rather bruising end to yesterday's GT4 European Series powered by Rafa Racing Club opening 60-minute affair, let's see how we do battle in race 2. The cars have come to the Hockenheim grid in the sunshine. It is a dry road. The grid slightly reduced, should we say, after yesterday, because at the last 5 minutes there was quite a large accident coming out of turn 9. It involved a number of cars. None were hugely damaged, but just enough to make repairs overnight, because they raced at the end of yesterday and early today. Just that little bit too much. And another car that's missing from the grid, the number 8 Antoine Portier-Etienne Shelley Toyota, with a radiator issue. There was water in the engine, and actually, had the race not been stopped yesterday, the engine would have gone bang. They were quite lucky that the race was stopped and they did get a result, but they're not racing today because, again, they just can't do the requisite work in time. That said, it is still a very busy grid indeed, and 19 rows of it stretching all the way back. And pole position for the first time to Dante Raponge in the V8 Racing Chevrolet that ended up yesterday with damage after contact from Robert Consonni's Audi, and he in turn has been given a grid drop of 5 places in the Audi. David Addison trackside, Gemma Scott is down on the grid, and on the second slot on the grid, Ivan Ekelchik, Nikolai Moller-Madsen's Porsche, which was excluded from yesterday's race. So they desperately need a good result out of today. Gemma, it's all yours.
Even we're down here on the front row of the grid, second position for you guys today, which is a great place to be. But let's reverse our minds to yesterday just a moment, because having finished P4 on track, I think it was, you ended up disqualified. What happened?
Yeah, we have some contact in the race, and after it contact we have a different position of camber, so it's a technical issues. Yeah, for sure we're upset of it, but today is a new day and we're looking forward for a new result, and it's the best position to start this race, so we'll see what happens next.
And you're a strong driver pairing, of course. Nikolai loves to pull his way through the field.
Yeah, Nikolai is absolutely strong, and he give to me everything what he know, and I try to catch it as much as possible. So it looks good how it's going our first season.
Have a great race. Thanks a lot, Ivan.
Thank you.
Yes, there was the camber. There was also the wrong driver weight, so a number of elements contrived to go against the regulations yesterday, and the ride height was wrong as well, a legacy perhaps of the incident, but 3 technical non-compliances all totted up, so the car was excluded, but it's second on the grid after the qualifying session yesterday for this standalone event. Right, third on the grid is the Porsche of Nathan Schaap. That car had a good run yesterday, finished in second place, the car that he shares with Alexander Hartwig. It was their best result of the year, because although it was second, they still won their class. The winner yesterday, Hendrik Still and Max Kronberg, who came from the Pro-Am division. So second on the road, but the winning silver, maximum points for Alexander Hartwig and Nathan Schaap within class. 1 hour race, pit window 25 to 35 minutes, and Chevrolet on pole position. Dante Raponge starts, Kenny Heremans is with Gemma.
Kenny, you guys had a difficult end of your race yesterday after some contact. You just said to me you think it was 50-50. That's very fair of you, and good to look at it like that with the racing incident. Today is a new day, pole position.
Yeah, it's a lovely day. The sun is shining, and hopefully we can just bring it home in one piece. And yeah, obviously my teammate will try to find a gap. So now we have nobody in front of us. It should be. But of course, the race is not finished after T1.
No.
So I hope we can just keep calm, have some patience, and yeah, when we change, I just try to bring it home, and hopefully we have a lovely day.
Very relaxed. When you look behind you, it's a huge field. I mean, this is such an impressive grid, and everybody piling into T1 here. We saw yesterday, it's not easy.
No, it's definitely never easy over here. When you see to qualifying and just coming to a couple of hundredths of a second, and then you see maybe 7 or 8 places of difference. It comes to as a team effort. You have to work as a team, and it's all to details. And obviously yesterday I come up for my teammate in the first place, but it's just in those details when yeah, it's just so exciting. Looking forward to what we see today.
Have a great race. Thanks a lot, Kenny.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kenny Harriman's yesterday did a good job. Dante Raponge did the second stint, but made contact, or contact was made with Robert Conseny, and it ended up with the car off the road. Fourth on the grid there is Pavel Levnerov, who will start today in the overdrive racing entry that he shares with Stéphane Bostangiv. So quite a lot of the Porsches up at the pointy end of the grid. Chevrolet, Porsche in the top four. Then Mercedes and Audi on the next row of the grid, because starting on the inside of row 3 is going to be Philippe Gogolok and Christophe Amon to line up alongside on pole position within Pro-Am. And then behind him, directly behind, next on the grid, is the Am pole, Alban Veruti at the wheel. Right, Tom Edgar is good to go in the BMW. The BMWs have been struggling a bit on the balance of performance here, and the championship leading car in silver, that of Gabriele Piana and Michael Schrei, yesterday was given a time penalty for an unsafe release, but because their championship rivals of Besler and Edgar didn't really do very well, and nor did the Toyota of Etienne Chely and Antoine Potti, they maintain a 20-point advantage, despite it being a bit of an average effort yesterday, although Piana will start, and he's very, very determined to try to haul himself up from the 8th row of the grid. There is the grid, stretching back down towards turn 17. The grid is being cleared very shortly. The engines will fire. They will have the formation lap, of course, from a rolling start, and then we will be in business. But before we do go racing, let's hear from the Pro-Am pole sitting drivers. One in the car, Greg Gilver, is with Gemma.
Greg, you had a second place yesterday in the race. A little bit of work to do here, but you're certainly at the right end of the grid.
No, it's perfect situation for us, because we start in first position in our category. So no, we lead the championship. We need to put just 10 points more to the Alpine Cup, Alpine car number 36. So yeah, only 10 points and we will be champion. So yeah, we start first. We will see.
Et on croise les doigts.
Exactement. Merci.
Bon courage.
Merci.
So maybe a title to be decided in this race then in Pro-Am, which is a very, very competitive class. And Greg Gilver wishes Christophe Amon good luck. So change of co-driver for Greg Gilver this year, but Christophe Amon very, very rapid, very successful as well. So with Chevrolet, Porsche, Mercedes, Audi, Aston Martin, Alpine, BMW, McLaren, which one have I missed? Lots of variety on a GT4 grid these days, stretching all the way back to the exit of the last corner. There's one of the multitudinous Porsche Caymans on the grid, which was strong yesterday with a 1-2 in the race. Third yesterday in the race, Alpine. Fourth yesterday, Mercedes. Fifth, McLaren. Sixth, Aston Martin. Although the race, as I was saying earlier, was somewhat truncated by effectively 5 minutes or so. Number 74. Set to go in the hands of Mateo Villagomez, the Spanish driver who joins Victor Weyrich in the Swiss team Racing Spirit of Le Mans entry. Villagomez, sorry I said Spanish, I mean Ecuadorian, switching to the car to replace Konstantin Lachenauer, who actually was a race winner with Weyrich earlier on in the season. Spanish driver is Luc Ibanez, who's gone through a number of co-drivers over the last few seasons and has Alexandra Papadopoulos with him for this year. The American driver, Alex Papadopoulos, will go second, and Luc Ibanez, very, very rapid driver. Bit short of luck this year, but a driver to watch nonetheless, and he will start in the stint that's about to get underway. That car has flattered to deceive a little bit this year. They've been on the pace, but not on the podium. Right, the 1 minute board has been shown. That means engines are fired at the 15-second board. Then, with everybody off the grid, the leading car, as it is, will blast away. And then behind it, the race cars will be released, ready for their formation lap. We'll then have a look at the grid. 3 categories, as I say, Silver, Pro-Am, and Am. After yesterday, Pro-Am, you've been hearing from Greg Gilver saying they just need 10 more points to outscore Antoine Leclerc to be champions. Third in Pro-Am, Hendrik Still and Max Kronberg, yesterday's winners. They could jump ahead of Leclerc, in fact, by the end of the weekend. In Silver, 20 points between Gabriele Piana and Michael Schrei's BMW and the similar car of Berke Besler and Tom Edgar, with the not racing Etienne Chely and Antoine Potti third. And in Am, Alban Veruti has won it effectively, 216 points over the 123 of his co-driver, Julien Piguet, so he can't be beaten. Kevin Jimenez and Florent Grisot are third. Right, green flag shown then. Everybody blasts away down towards turn 1. The Chevrolet in the hands of Dante Raponge leads them into the first corner. Nikolai Muller-Madsen, always a hard charger, certainly one to watch for the SRS Team Schorg Rennsport squad, lining up second on the grid. So Dante Raponge on pole, Nikolai Moller-Madsen, silver champion a few years back, lines up with him ahead of Nathan Schaap and then Pavel Lefterov, third and fourth on the grid. Fifth is Philippe Gogolok ahead of Christophe Amont, class pole in Pro-Am. Seventh, class pole in Am for Alban Varuti ahead of Mathieu Villagomez, then Luc Ibanieff and Ruben Delsart to complete the top 10. 11th with a grid drop, Robert Consani ahead of Gustavo Xavier, then Max Kronberg, outright winner yesterday, and Emil Heyerdahl is alongside him. Next comes Gabriele Piana, then Tom Emson, who drove well yesterday ahead of Sergio Paulet and Jean-Bernard Bouvet. Next, Tom Edgar, winner at Misano, with Hugo de Sandelier for company ahead of Simon Thurman. A long way back, but one to watch, I think. Florian Brichet next, then Jordan Wallace and Joachim Bolting to line up alongside. Jean-Laurent Navarro comes next in his Porsche alongside Florent Grisot's Aston, then Alain Ferte's Alpine that was damaged yesterday. Cyril Salai alongside him ahead of Nicky Leutwiler, winner at Spa. Fabien Bury next ahead of Alexander Weintraub and Rory Guillon. Then Jacob Knoll and the podium finisher in Am, although with a damaged car yesterday, Paolo Maloney, the car repaired. Lucas Meyer is next with the American lady racer Taylor Hagler alongside. She had a spin in the race yesterday. Alex Denning is on the back row with Jean-Paul Dominici for company. So that is how they line up, or will line up, when they get to the approach to the stadium. They'll get themselves in that 2x2 side-by-side formation. Tom Edgar working the tyres hard, wins outright this year to Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consani at Monza, and Gabriele Piana and Michael Schrei won the second race there. Then Victor Weyrich and Konstantin Lachenauer shared the wins at Paul Ricard with Antoine Potti and Etienne Chely. At Spa, it was Benjamin Lessène and Ricardo van der Ende that won the first, and Potti and Chely the second, and then it was all BMW at Misano. Schrei and Piana won the first, and a maiden win for Borissan Automotive, Beke Besler, Tom Edgar in the second race. Tom Edgar, a graduate of British GT4 a few years ago, and then yesterday Hendrik Still and Max Kronberg, a very rare Pro-Am outright win. So the cars now make their way down to the approach to the stadium, past the big Porsche driving experience building on the inside of the road there, with its own test track, an experience centre built into the fabric of Hockenheim nowadays. Of course, a very different circuit from that existed probably over 20 years ago now. We've been using this configuration, but in the old days you go hammering out into the woods through the 3 chicanes that brought you back from a kind of egg-shaped loop back towards the stadium. But a shorter lap, but still a challenging one, especially that long, fast section through the Parabolica up towards the Spitzkehrer hairpin. So an hour of racing is about to get underway. The leading car, pace car as it is, will dive for the pit lane, and then we'll be in business, ready to get things underway. Pole position to Dante Raponge, who would be very, very pleased if he can make amends for yesterday's disappointment with a race win, but it's easier said than done as the cars then turn into turn 16. Nikolai Moller-Madsen on the outside line. Second row of the grid is where you've got Nathan Schaap and Pavel Lefterov. Then up towards the timing line they come. Joel Duval, the race director, if he's happy, will give the signal that the lights can go green, which they will do now, and the cars blast away with a good getaway then by Dante Raponge, but Moller-Madsen hangs it out on the outside line as they dive into turn 1, gets run up onto the curb and still attacks as they head now up towards turn 2. So it's going to be Chevrolet and Porsche side by side as they head into the braking zone. In third place is Lefterov. Nathan Schaap has dropped back into fourth place, the Dutch driver. This is Tom Edgar's view as the cars now head into the hairpin at turn 2. And up the curb goes Moller-Madsen to try to get level with Raponge. He's got the inside line going up towards the Parabolica. That's going to be the outside line for the Spitzkehrer. Nathan Schaap goes with them in the blue and green Allied Racing Porsche. Gets a toe off the Chevrolet, and Raponge stays on the inside line. It's going to be the last of the late breakers, but this is always a pinch point to the outside line. Moller-Madsen, Raponge on the inside line, hangs on to the advantage. Moller-Madsen gets run out way, way wide over the curb and back on again. Others run wide, and the next corner, the inside line at 7, is going to be claimed by the Chevrolet, but round the outside goes Moller-Madsen. That's brave, especially on the opening lap on cold tyres. So Moller-Madsen takes the lead. Raponge thinks about coming back at him on the inside line, can't do it. And then next up, as they swing their way up towards the completion of the middle sector, looks like being Alban Varuti, who's going rapidly. There Tom Edgar gets himself up alongside Tom Empson. So Edgar pushing forward as well as the cars then head down towards the stadium. But a really good first lap by Alban Varouti then up from the, fourth row of the grid, the bronze, AM driver, bronze grade, but a very good first lap as there. Further back in the queue, Christophe Amon is on the attack, number 42. Not necessarily thinking about overall places, but he is definitely thinking about the championship, and 94 must give back one position. So Nikolai Moller-Madsen, the thinking must be that by going off the road and maintaining momentum, he gained an advantage. So Moller-Madsen has to give the lead back to Dante Rapponge, heading down towards turn one, and Moller-Madsen does exactly that. Just lifts the pace, lets the Chevrolet go back through, and straight away is on the attack, look, heading up towards the hairpin. So job done, place swap, and in third place Varouti, fourth is Sharp, fifth is Lefterov, sixth is Gogolok, seventh is Vial Gomez, eighth is Amon, ninth Ibanez, and 10th Del Santos. 48 goes through, Emil Heyerdahl sharing with a very quick Brit Bailey Voisin, silver champion for United Autosports 2 seasons ago. So the cars up now towards the Spitzkehrer. Have a look at that green and white Porsche. Max Kronberg, 11th at the start of the lap, yesterday's outright winner, as the 3 leaders dive to the hairpin. Moller-Madsen up the inside line. Rapponge has to give him racing room, and there's no argument about it that time. Surely Moller-Madsen dives through, elbows out, yes, but a hard move, a fair move. He's gone by, he's got the race lead, or has he? Because Alban Varouti had the door open for him, and all of a sudden the AM champion-elect will go up the inside. Moller-Madsen is way out wide. He'll get the lead back as they come into turn 8. Rapponge down a third. So Porsche's 1, 2, 4, 5. And there's a yellow flag in the middle sector of the circuit as well now. But Rapponge, his lap is rather unravelling. He's dropped behind 2 Porsches then in quick succession. And there's the reason for the yellow flag. That looked like 83 out if it's been off the road. The car of Fabian Boeri. Julian Rodriguez put in the gravel in qualifying yesterday morning. So Nikolai Moller-Madsen leads and inspired Alban Varouti, having the drive of his life here. Then down to third, the pole car of Dante Rapponge. And in fourth place is Pavel Lefterov. Varouti the leading AM, Christophe Amon the leading Pro-Am, Nikolai Moller-Madsen the outright leader is leading silver. Over the line they come then, 2 laps in the book, and Nikolai Moller-Madsen it is who holds sway. Through behind it is then Varouti, Rapponge third, and in 7th place Mathieu Villar-Gomez has now done the fastest lap of the race in the Aston Martin. So the leading line still pretty competitive, as then Rapponge has a look at the inside line, goes through, gets 2nd place back then, manages to move himself back ahead of some of the Cayman fleet, and Alban Varouti slots in behind him in turn, being mindful that Pavel Lefterov is up into 4th place, Nathan Sharp is down to 5th, and then it is Philippe Gogolok in 6th, the leading Mercedes right now. But Moller-Madsen, having been given a race lead, aims to build that so that his co-driver Igor Ekelchik has got something to protect into the 2nd stint. What Moller-Madsen does not need now is a safety car in any guise, whether it's a full safety car or a full course yellow, to reduce the pace, reduce the lead that he's got. He wants to try and build this all the way to the end of his stint, and then hope that Igor Ekelchik is going to be able to maintain that going through stint 2. Further back, the blue Porsche, Nathan Sharp to the inside of Pavel Lefterov. They get very, very close. Out wide goes Lefterov. He's got the inside line for the next corner. Nathan Sharp on the outside line goes ahead of him. The 718 Caymans, of course, which in certain countries have their own one-make championship. Porsche Sprint Challenge, we've got an unofficial round of it going on here. Damage picked up by Philippe Gogolok's Mercedes on the left front corner. So he's struggling a little bit as the cars drop down towards the Sachs curve once more. Slightly banked corner, come out the other side, the road flattens, then you've got that little S, 14 and 15, and then, well, there you can do it in one line, 2 separate corners. That's 16, 17 at the end of the lap, and out wide, look, goes Pavel Lefterov, who, having lost a place, I think, on this lap, has dropped back a little bit in the queue as well. Over the timing line, Nikolai Moller-Madsen leads the way. 2nd is Alban Varouti, no, 2nd is now Dante Rapponge. Down to 3rd is Varouti, 4th is Sharp, 5th is Lefterov, 6th is Gogolok's damaged Mercedes. Amon 7th, 8th Ibanez, and Villar-Gomez is down to 9th, as now Nikolai Moller-Madsen does the fastest lap of the race, but he's 11/10ths up the road as Christophe Amon in the blue Audi makes a move. You can see the damage on Gogolok's car. Amon is ahead of Ibanez and stays ahead of the Mercedes. Got one car heading into the pit lane, incidentally, which is the Jean-Laurent Navarro Porsche. So he's had dramas out on track as the leading cars dispute the approach from the Parabolica to the Spitzkehrer. In Pro-Am, Christophe Amon leads the way from Max Kronberg, then Jean-Bernard Bouvet in the car that's going to be taken over by their championship rival Antoine Leclerc. So at the moment their championship rival is in third place, but it is looking good for the Audi drivers to secure the championship. Christophe Amont, a very quick driver. He's the AM in the Pro-Am car. Greg Gilbert, the Pro. And they know exactly what they've got to do. They know exactly which battles to pick. And fighting the silver cars for overall places is not relevant. They just need to stay out of trouble and win their class. Villagomez is ahead of Ibanez in silver. Aston Martin ahead of Mercedes as they come down towards the stadium. And there at 2 on the prowl, Robert Consony, and in number 2, Gabriele Piana, both working their way forward. Remember that Consony had a grid drop, so that put him to 11th on the grid, and up from 15th is Piana. So they're both pushing forward, and they're also, of course, fighting for the championship, where first is the BMW, and third in the standings in silver, this Audi. Robert Consony sharing with the experienced Benjamin Lariche. Over the line they turn once more out of the first fast right-hander of turn 1. So Christophe Amont up into the top 6. Further back, Consony, Piana, both got themselves ahead of Max Kronberg, second in Pro-Am. And Gogolok damaged Mercedes under attack from Luc Ibanez there, who makes a move on the inside line. There are certainly a number of opportunities where you can overtake around the Hockenheim ring. And in GT4, which is a very, very competitive class, evidence of that. It's a shame we had the red flag yesterday because it had been a really good, clean race up to that point. Here, Ibanez tries to level Luc on the way up towards the Spitschker with Gogolok, who's on the outside line. His is the car with the damage on the left-hand side. And Luc Ibanez to the inside should go through. Philippe Gogolok's slightly hampered Mercedes under attack straight away from Matteo Villagomez, and he in turn is taking with him now number 93, which is another of the Porsches of Sergio Paulet. Under the BOP, this looked like a very Porsche-friendly circuit. BMWs and even the Toyota Supra yesterday when it was running, rather less competitive here than they've been elsewhere. But that's sort of the nature. The BOP is worked out for different circuits, and so sometimes it goes in your favour, sometimes it doesn't. Right now, the leaders clear the top 2 of anybody else, with Alban Baruti hanging on the 3rd place. But there he is, look, falling away from the leaders, but protecting 3rd overall from Nathan Sharp. So Sharp wants to get up and past him as quick as, then he can go after the top 2. Through turn 16 come the leaders. To the timing line now. And up past the pits. Nikolai Moller-Manson still leads from Dante Raponge, who was the fastest man on track last time. That gap was 1 second. It's down to 0.8 of a second now for 3rd place. Baruti, then Sharp, Lefterov, then Amont into turn 1. Nathan Sharp attacking and defending at the same time here. He wants to go after Baruti, but he has got Lefterov right up behind him. He's already retaken that place away from Pavel Lefterov, but now he has got to make that Allied Racing Porsche very wide indeed. And while he's defending, can't afford to lose time against Baruti. Big dive there being made by Hugo de Sadelier in the Alpine to try to stay ahead of Tom Emson in the McLaren, as also coming under attack Max Kronberg from Ruben Del Sar. The Aston Martin should be able to go through. Tom Edgar is making a challenge as well in the bright blue BMW there. Look, tries to crowd the Alpine as they go up towards the hairpin at the Spitzkehre, gets himself ahead of Simon Thurman, and then dives into the hairpin. Thurman tries to fight back, look on the outside line. Great high shot that, as down on the cars coming towards turn 7. But although it's a discernible corner, it's a very fast corner. This, though, is a much sharper left, heavy braking, down through the gears and get it wrong, and you can run out wide. Tom Edgar, hard at work here. In the car over the curb. Down to the stadium. Lift turns in, back on the power. Up the curb on exit. And the 2 race leaders coming up towards turn 17 with that gap to the eye slightly reduced. Nikolai Moller-Manson it is in the Porsche. Dante Raponge in the Chevrolet. Over the line goes Nikolai Moller-Manson then. That will put 6 laps in the book. And 0.377 of a second is the margin. And another fastest lap of the race by Raponge, who is chipping away. So Nikolai Moller-Manson in the car that was out-qualified by the Chevrolet is under attack. Raponge to the inside at turn 2, and he goes through. The danger is he goes wide, so Moller Madsen gets the switch back, puts him on the outside line and back into the lead at turn 4. Very good move indeed. Moller Madsen back through, positioned the car ideally as they came into the little kink at turn 3. He was ahead at 4. Out of 5 they go, the Parabolica, and then to the Spitzkehrer, where under braking, Rapponge will perhaps try to challenge, and he does challenge, and he goes through. Moller Madsen did put the indicator on briefly and didn't seem to offer up a vast amount of retaliation there or defence. Now, there's nothing on the timing screen saying he had to give a place back. Maybe he just felt that the Chevrolet was quicker in a straight line and he needed to let him go. Either way, Moller Madsen tries to stay with the Chevrolet now. Another car that's being investigated is for potential speeding in the pit lane, and it is Joachim Bolting's Porsche. The rest of the cars file through, down now towards turn 8. Bit of a twitch from Tom Emson, and behind him off the road goes Julien Brichet in the blue and orange Aston Martin. Brichet has got lots of traffic around him, and he's coming under attack by the look of it from Alain Ferté. Florent Grisot has got himself up through the pack in the Aston Martin. So Grisot is ahead of Emson, the former Ginetta racer in the UK, and Florent Grisot sharing with Kevin Jimenez out of Clio Cup. The Elite Motorsport McLaren, almost hidden behind the taller frame of the Aston Martin, as there number 23 Pavel Lefterov. 5th comes onto the pit straight. Moller Madsen leading the way. Rapponge 2nd, a lap ago. This time it's the new order of Rapponge ahead of Porsche. So Chevrolet leading the way by 6/10. Dante Rapponge, having hit the front, now is building that gap over Moller Madsen. Varuti is 3rd, Sharp 4th, Lefterov 5th, Amon 6th, leading his class. There's that 3 Porsche Caymans battle, and then behind is Christophe Amon, still comfortably leading in Pro-Am. We're being told there is debris on track at turn 13, the Sachs curve. Can't see a car off, but maybe there's been contact and 1 or 2 little bits of bodywork have dropped onto the ground, as Varuti, having without question the best show we've seen of Albin all year. It's been a dominant season with 7 AM category wins, but to be running on merit in the top 3 with a really inspired first lap, mega shout to him for that, because it's been a very impressive drive indeed, and he's not done yet. Further back there, Robert Consani makes a move against Luc Ibanez, goes through on the inside line, so that puts Consani into 7th, whereas Piana is really struggling in contrast. Look in the BMW, he's still mired in 12th place. Ibanez tries to fight back, but unable so to do, it seems. They dive down now into the stadium once more. And there's the debris. So it's on the outside line, but shouldn't be a problem for drivers because you don't really go around the outside at the Sachs curve to try to overtake. They're also not that far off a back marker that might need to be negotiated, because there is one car rather delayed, which is that of Fabien Bury, but the leaders go through. Rapponge to Moller Madsen, 6/10 it was, and is now 8/10. So Dante Rapponge, having got into the lead again, is pulling away. Varuti, it is in 3rd still, ahead of Nathan Sharp, then Lefterov, then Amon, and as we'd seen, Consani 7th from Ibanez, Vial Gomez and Gogolok next up. Gabriele Piana now 11th, but it's a tough weekend for the BMW. They're the trailblazers, the Bonk Motorsports by Hofer Racing entry. That's the Borusan Automotive car of Tom Edgar. They were 1 and 2, these two, at Misano, but right now Edgar is 16th and Piana only 11th, so the pace just not there. Tom Edgar accelerates up towards the hairpin. Ahead of him is Gustavo Xavier in the Porsche. Down to 2nd gear goes Edgar in a GT3 car. It's down to 1st gear to get it around the hairpin. Alban Varuti in the meantime pulling away once again from Nathan Sharp as they come into the left at turn 8. Alban Varuti well clear in AM. 2nd is Gustavo Xavier, being chased by Tom Edgar, and 3rd is Florent Grisot in the Aston, further down the order in now 21st place overall. So Alban Varuti doing a great job. Everybody, of course, in the same specification of car. It's just the driver grading that differentiates between the classes. Robert Consani, you saw there, trying to make a move to the inside of the Audi, but to no avail, so Christophe Amon fends him off. A 10-second time penalty at the pit stop being applied to Joachim Bolting for speeding in the pit lane. And here is the charging Robert Consani, taking the speed car Audi by the scruff of the neck. Winners already this year, he and Benjamin Lariche, but Robert Consani with a point to prove, really, amends to make after yesterday's incident that puts that car out of the race. Pit window is between 25 and 35 minutes, so we're about 8 minutes away from the window opening.
10-second time penalty for car 13 for speeding in the pit lane to take at the pit stop.
And that voice you just heard is the race director, Joël Dorval, confirming the time penalty being applied to Joachim Bolting's Porsche on the pit stop when he gives the car over to Tanyo Neumann. Here, though, more Porsches, and it is Varuti from Sharp, from Lefterov, and the Audis are side-by-side, and Robert Consani on the inside line should be able to go through, and he does, because, again, Christophe Amon realises that that's not a car that he's fighting with for class position. Let him go. So, Amon continues, 1 place down overall, but maintaining a maximum score within his class in the championship in Pro-Am here. There, down the pit lane, comes Taylor Hagler. Now, that car was really quick in qualifying yesterday with Dakota Dickerson at the wheel. Taylor got caught up in an incident and picked up some damage, and it looks like the car is still not 100%. Racing here for the first time, but good to have the American drivers in the championship. Right, the Burger King-backed Audi, until it's getting to lunchtime, goes towards the Sachs curve, and Robert Consani now setting off in pursuit of Pavel Lefterov. Christophe Amon, in turn, is under attack from Luc Ibanez. Again, Pro-Am versus Silver. And the race leaders are heading up towards the line to put 10 laps in the book. Ibanez to the inside of Amon, couldn't go through, and the Audi on the outside just scrabbles around the corner ahead. Ibanez, I think, backed out of that rather than risk any contact. Over the timing line they go. So very different ways of treating the GT4 model, but the Audi and the Mercedes very evenly matched here as they bounce over the curb out of turn 1. Raponge now leading by over a second. Their third is Varuti. Fourth is Sharp in the blue-nosed car. Fifth is Lefterov. Sixth is Consani. And up into seventh goes Luc Ibanez. He does go through under braking up at turn 2. So Luc Ibanez starts now to work out what he can do, if anything, about Consani. The Audi is quick, but don't forget Robert Consani has caught this lot, worked his way through and pulled away. And proof of how good the Audi is that Christophe Amon comes back at the Mercedes and goes ahead, heading into the Spitzkehrer. He's on the wrong line, he's on the outside, so Ibanez can come back at him and retake the place on the inside line, but great scrap these two are having, with behind them Mathieu Villagomez. Out wide goes Gabriele Piana. Gomez to the inside and goes through. Amon doesn't put up a huge amount of defence because, again, there's no need to. It's a silver car, but also he's able to go back round the outside because you could see that the Aston was going to run deep into the corner and compromise its exit speed. So Christophe Amon using his brain in all of this to pick his battles and to position the car in exactly the right place. But eventually he lets the Aston go and continues to lead in Pro-Am. Out of the Sachs curve goes that fight for 7th and 8th places, as up towards the line comes Dante Raponge, still looking good up front, and the advantage that he's got now is a second and a half. 20 minutes of the race are done. Replay here of Raponge in super slow-mo coming out of turn 16. This gives you a great example of how the car loads up over the curb. You see a little bit of correction being applied. It skips over that sausage curb, back on again, over that corrugated curbing, and then out wide again at 17. You see how the suspension works, but Dante Raponge keeps it off the green bit behind the curbing, 2 wheels, the right side of the white line, all good. So Raponge up to turn 6 with Nikolai Moller-Madsen close, but not being able to fight back. That gap has just been creeping up lap after lap. And Robert Consani, look, has caught Lefterov and easily disposes of him going into the hairpin. So Robert Consani doing a great job in this opening stint, picking his way forward. And actually, given who's around him, this could be a well-placed car going towards the end of the race, couldn't it? Because we don't necessarily know whether Kenny Harriman's going to be able to replicate Raponge's pace. Moller-Madsen gives way to Igor Ekelchik, who's not quite as quick. Alban Varuti will give way to Julien Piguet. That car should stay up there, but one or two imponderables. Car 75 is under investigation for causing a collision. 75 is Nicky Leutwiler in the Century Porsche Ticino Cayman. Nicky Leutwiler in 26th place and winner with Ivan Jacomet at Spa. There is Lefterov in the Overdrive Racing Porsche. Comes up from the Sachs Curva. And we've got about 3 minutes and change before the pit window opens. So the drivers now starting to, with the teams, make their plan of when to pit. If you're the quicker driver, you'll stay out for as long as you can. Raponge then, the pole man, is quick and he leads the way on to lap number 13 as Gabriele Piana gets up the inside of Philippe Gogolok and goes through, does he? Gets the tighter line, the Mercedes up the curb. Behind them as they come over the line is Mats Kronberg, but look, the Mercedes has got the grunt in a straight line. It's going to be under braking where the Hoffa Racing BMW does go through. Gabriele Piana in one of the smartest cars on the grid, gains the place and accelerates up towards turn 2, now into the top 10. Nicky Leutwiler is being given a 10-second penalty in his pit stop for causing a collision. A little bit sideways there was Mats Kronberg. And Piana now will see whether he can get away from Gogolok.
10-second time penalty for car 75 for causing a collision in turn 6.
Confirmation of another penalty then, as we've just been discussing. Right, Piana versus Gogolok. He not really getting away. That said, Gogolok not able to make a move. What about under braking for the Schwitzkehrer? The answer again is no, because the BMW able to fend off that battered Mercedes. See quite a bit dragging on the ground, both on the side and underneath the car. So the pit window 2 minutes away from opening, and a number of the drivers, I think, in this leading group will stay out a little bit longer. One of the early ones you might find, Christophe Amel, to take his pit stop and put Greg Gilbert in early. The lead gap stretching all the time, though, as the leaders come into the stadium, and this battle pack comes out of turn 9, down to the stadium itself. Christophe Amel then in the Audi, up the curb, jumps back onto the racetrack, chasing after Matteo Villagomez. Amel 9th, this is the leader, up towards the end of the lap. Pit window not yet open, but it will be at the end of this next lap. Dante Raponge then, clearing the lead. Moller Madsen goes through, and then in third place will be Alban Varuti, still keeping Nathan Sharp at bay, but then in 5th place, Robert Consony, working hard now to try to wriggle through the Porsches. He's got past one of Lefterov, who in turn has got Ibanez behind him. There's Piana, championship leader in silver, going into turn 1. And behind him is Gogolok. Then it is number 93 Porsche making a bit of progress, as well as Sergio Paulet. So Tom Edgar, 16th. And again, the BMWs just looking as though they're handicapped in some way. They don't seem to have the outright pace around here. Edgar bounces it over the curb. There is the Borasan Automotive Motorsport BMW, but Robert Consony is on the back of Nathan Sharp as they come now out of the Schwitzkehrer. You can see how the two leaders have got away. Sharp unable to do anything about Varuti, so this, for the AM to be in the top 3 throughout his stint, is an exceptional performance by Alban Varuti. And Nathan Sharp, silver winner yesterday, still stuck behind him, but now he's going to have to go defensive look, because right there as well is the Audi, Robert Consony for Team Speed Car, accelerating up from the Mercedes arena down towards the stadium, past the big Porsche building on the inside, and Porsche fends off Audi right now. Allied Racing, the German team, Team Speed Car, the French squad, which is a regular within not only this championship, but also French GT that runs purely for GT4 regulations. Up the inside of Lefterov goes Ibanez in the Mercedes, but he can't go through in that little S. What about the inside line at turn 16? Yes, he can. He's done it. He's gone by. Look, there's the evidence. So the Mercedes through on the inside as into the pit lane comes Nathan Sharp to give way to Alexander Hartwig. So that's possibly a good use of the strategy. Get him out of the traffic, get him into the pits, get the driver change done. And others are coming in as well. So Max Kronberg to give way to Hendrik Still, and Tom Edgar to give way to Beke Bessler. So there is the first of these regulation pit stops. Everybody has to do a stop. And although on occasions we've had soloists, it's all double driver entries this weekend. So Nathan Sharp gives way to Alexander Hartwig, Max Kronberg gives way to Hendrik Still, and Tom Edgar in for Beke Bessler. 72 seconds the pit stop must be. And there is Raponge, then ahead of Moller Madsen, 1.8 seconds. It's never been a massive gap, but it's always been just enough to prevent Moller Madsen from being able to fight back. And you can see how far ahead they are now of Alban Varuti, who is still in third place. Robert Consani, fourth. I still think this guy has a good chance going into the second stint when Benjamin Lariche will take it over. So as we head towards the halfway mark, there is Raponge in the Chevrolet, the Dutch driver in his second season of European GT4. And you can see how committed Moller Madsen is behind the very spectacular Danish driver, hooking it up on the curb for the Phoenix Motorsport Audi team a few years ago. He was silver champion, but Moller Madsen, always a hard charger. On occasions it's been his undoing, but it's also given him a reputation of being a very, very fast GT4 driver. And in he comes, in fact, early to give way to Igor Ekelchik. So that gives Raponge, if you like, a free ride for a bit, because he's under absolutely no pressure now. And Alban Varuti is staying out. The AM up into second place now, ahead of Robert Consani. Then it is Ibanez, as down the pit lane comes Christophe Amon to give way to Greg Gilbert. The leading Pro-Am car comes in. Philippe Gogolok's car comes in as well, and so also Simon Tiermans, Alpine, and Tom Emson's McLaren in as well. That's Greg Gilbert then near the number 42 Audi. Door opens with a time to serve the pit stops too. There's no massive urgency. Christophe Amon steps out of the car, chucks his gloves away, and now tends to strapping in Greg Gilbert. So here is Alexander Hartwig then, fresh into the car and fresh into the race. First time he's been on track all day. Comes now into the Sachs curve. So ultimately we need to see where this car is after the pit stops relative to Kenny Heremans, to Igor Ekelchik, and to Julien Piguet, who's going to take over from Alban Varuti. Away goes Ekelchik then. That was the car excluded yesterday, so they desperately want a good result today. And Ekelchik blasts back on track. So Igor Ekelchik rejoins ahead of Alexander Hartwig, maintains track position therefore. And now the fascination is going to be to see how long it is before Hartwig gets up with the less experienced Igor Ekelchik. Greg Gilbert on track, Hendrik still on track, and Beke Bessler on track as well in the BMW, coming up behind the Mercedes now in the hands of Marc de Fulgencio. So lots of driver swaps to shuffle the order around, and there now in the traffic is the Chevrolet, which is still yet to stop. So Dante Raponge at the wheel of it, Alban Varuti still second. In has come Robert Consani though this time. So the Audi that was in third comes in. That gives Luc Ibanez third place right now. Ruben Delsart's in to give way to Jamie Day. So the pit lane a very busy place, but a really good stint that by Robert Consani. In squeezes Benjamin Lariche, threads himself through the cage, gets into the car, the very tall frame of Benjamin Lariche. There is Kenny Heremans' car, Dante Raponge at the wheel of it. Kenny will take it over, and the aim now is to try and bring it home for a race win. Easier said than done, especially as right now Raponge has to try to pick his way effectively through the traffic. '55 is now Laurent Hergon, who has taken over from the massively experienced Alain Fate, Formula 3000 racer, the Jaguar sports car racer, Sierra Cosworth racer, and Tourist Trophy winner Alain Fate. But his job is done, and so now the car in the hands of Laurent Hergon. And in the traffic, this might just prompt the decision of when to come in, because if he's behind back markers, Dante Raponge is going to be losing time. The lap times will be slower, so this would make sense, I think, for him to dive this time, and he does so. You see the pace checked, aims for the inside of turn 17, and in he comes. Down the pit road then, the Chevrolet to give way to Kenny Heremans. So Dante Raponge, really good stint that, from pole position, lost the lead, got the lead back, and was able to hold it all the way to the pit stops. Now Igor Ekelchik in the meantime, a little bit sideways there, coming out of turn 6. He's being chased by Hartwig, And we'll see where they all bleed back in relative to this car once it rejoins. Out leaps Rapange. Here, hustling on, is Egelchik. One or two more still coming into the pit lane, so almost everybody now done. We've still got a couple of minutes or so before the window closes, but the majority of the drivers serving the pit stops and giving themselves plenty of time by way of a cushion. Right, that's Egelchik into the stadium. Heads towards the Sachs curve, and as he does so, the Chevrolet is almost good to go. Kenny Heremans is now behind the wheel. The car controller will give the indication in a moment, and away it blasts. So the Chevrolet Camaro sets off down the pit lane, ready to rejoin the race. So the race leaders currently on lap 18, and Kenny Heremans stays ahead of Igor Egelchik. So the Chevrolet maintains its advantage. Egelchik is second, in third is Hartwig, and then fourth is Lariche. The Audi, I think, could well be the car to watch out of all of this, up towards the hairpin. And to be fair to Igor Egelchik, he has also been able to maintain the gap over Alexander Hartwig. So right now, Alban Varuti leads on the road, but has yet to stop. There, number 23, which is the Pavel Lefterov Porsche, comes through. Stefan Bostangiv at the wheel of it, and he's under attack, look, because right there behind him is Martin Fulgentio. I think they've peeled some of that flapping bodywork off the car, or taped it up. Bostangiv's Porsche under note for an unsafe release. Behind you've got Beke Besler's BMW as the Fulgentio gets run out over the white line, but he keeps on coming on the inside into the Spitzkehrer hairpin, brakes as late as he dares and goes through. So that is a position gain for Martin Fulgentio, who was on the podium yesterday. Initially, Moller Manson and Egelchik got a time penalty for track limits and then excluded altogether. Alban Varuti is in, and it is now Julien Piguet who takes over the AVR Avatar entry. Alban Varuti racing Avatar. So the next battle pack of note is Stefan Bostangiv ahead of Beke Besler, ahead of Jamie Day. All of this down in 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th places at the moment, but potentially to be shuffled again when they come over the line. Final warning on track limits now being issued to number 94, which is the Egelchik Moller Madsen Porsche. There it is. So the car comes over the line. We know that Nikolai Moller Madsen is a hard charger, but the race officials are on the point of losing their rag now. With all the track limit abuses. Number 13 has been given a penalty as well, incidentally, which is the Bolting Neumann car. It was given a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, then for track limits as well, another penalty. Through on the inside goes Lariche, but he runs wide, and that gives Julien Piguet a chance to challenge, but finally track position is gained by the Audi. Remember, he was behind the Porsche, or that car was behind the Porsche in stint 1, early in stint 2, and he's through. Number 17 is being investigated for a short pit stop. Number 17 is the V8 Racing race leading car. So Kenny Heremans under investigation for a short pit stop. Beke Besler there on the inside of Stefan Bostangiv, coming up towards the hairpin to the outside line behind them. You can see goes the Jamie Day Aston Martin. So Besler goes through, Bostangiv tries to fight back, to the outside line goes Jamie Day. And they all scrabble their way back now down towards the turn 7. Very fast right-hander. Bostangiv on the inside line of the BMW. Gets sideways. Besler fends him off. The Turkish driver hangs onto position. Brave stuff. And right there behind as well is Paul Kaupe in the Alpine. He gets up the inside and goes ahead of Stefan Bostangiv now as well. Jamie Day loses out. As up and past him goes the Porsche number 93. That now is Ricardo Dort. The race leader comes now onto the pit straight, but this has the Damocletian investigation over it. So the leading car, Kenny Heremans, looked at for a short pit stop. You've got a joker pit stop, but I think he was outside that joker tolerance. In second place, Igor Egelchik, so he's on his last warning for track limits. The leading car under investigation for a short pit stop. In third, the blue Porsche, I don't think there's anything in the system lurking for Alexander Hartwig. Their fourth is Benjamin Lariche in the Audi, and fifth, the leading AM behind Julien Piguet. Sixth is Alex Papadopoulos. Seventh is Victor Weyrich, and their eighth is the Pro-Am lead battle. Greg Gilver versus Hendrik Still, who goes through on the inside. Yesterday's winning Porsche takes the class lead. That's rather bad news for Gilver in the championship, but bear in mind how far up the road they were in the first stint. Hendrik Still absolutely storming because he's carved into that gap. He's moved ahead of the Audi and straight away starts to build a gap. We've seen how well the Porsches go around here. There's more evidence of it. So, out of the hairpin comes Hendrik Still. Could they take 2 class wins over the weekend? The way that he's going, you wouldn't argue against it. 23 minutes of the race still to run. Into the stadium comes Hendrik Still. Very experienced driver in GT4 machinery and with lots of success over the years, whether it's been in the European Championship, the North European Zone, or in the German Series. But as he comes now towards the stadium, he is on the back of the Victor Weyrich-driven Aston Martin, and another place beckons. Now the leader is being given a 5-second penalty for track limits. Kenny Heremans, 5-second penalty for track limits. And on top of that, there's the investigation for the short pit stop. Now, right now, that penalty doesn't matter a huge amount because he was 4.5 seconds up the road last time anyway. The bigger concern is the short pit stop investigation. So the lead gap now is 4.7. Heremans creeping away from Egelchik. And now it gets worse because the Chevrolet...
Car 17, 11-second time penalty for short pit stop.
Warning flag.
That's what I was about to tell you. Thank you, Gilles Duval. An 11-second time penalty on top of the 5 for the leading car for the short pit stop. So an 11-second time penalty for the leading car. So initially they had to pull away by 5 seconds. Now they've got to be clear by 16. So this is a very, very tall order indeed. Egelchik is second, and all of a sudden number 22 Porsche is looking good in third position. There it is. So Igor Egelchik is being caught by about a second a lap by Alex Hartwig, but it's a very, very big ask for the leading car to pull out 16 seconds. Not impossible, but a big ask. What he really needs is for a battle to delay Egelchik and Hartwig all the way to the end. There is Michael Schrei, number 2 BMW. So Benjamin Lariche fourth, and there's considerable disappointment for Dante Raponge as the news comes through. That's the leading AM, Julien Piguet, taking over from Alban Varuti and running in 5th place overall. 6th behind now is the Alex Papadopoulos Mercedes, working its way through the traffic, and the race leader heading up towards the line as you look at the AM leader going to turn 16. Dominant effort this has been thus far by Alban Varuti, now Julien Piguet, and this would be an 8th win in 10 races for Alban Varuti, assuming it all goes according to plan. Now Heremans is still being pegged by Egelchik, 4.7 seconds, and 16 seconds would drop the Chevrolet down to 8th place overall. So there's the confirmation of the time penalty on top of number 17 being given a 5-second time penalty for track limits. So the final warning came, and now Dante Raponge tries to do the math and work out exactly by looking at live timing where that's going to drop the car to. So the message hopefully will get through to Heremans. Push, push, push. He needs the drivers behind to get themselves together and squabble and delay themselves. But Hendrik Still is a man on a mission. Look, goes for 6th on the inside of Alex Papadopoulos and goes through. Nice move that, coming up towards the turn 6 hairpin. So Hendrik Still through on the inside line, another place gained. Leading in Pro-Am and getting further and further up the order overall all the time here. So the race leaders wiggle out of the arena down towards the stadium. And the fastest lap of the race still claimed by Dante Raponge in the Chevrolet from earlier on. We've now got a yellow flag in the middle sector suggesting that somebody's been off the road or is off the road, and there's the answer. It's a rather damage back to an Alpine of 35. So that is the Sandro Perisuti car. Trying to rejoin. Quite often, of course, it's not an easy just push a button and go. You have to give the cars a sort of 30-second period to power down and power up again. And by the look of it, he didn't get there on his own. Bang. That was Bailey Voisin, wasn't it? In the Aston, getting into the back of him. Looked like it. So, drama up at the hairpin. Race now with 18 minutes still on the clock. And the question over all these penalties and where they're going to be. Jamie Day has a problem because he slowed right down coming over the line. So the number 5 Aston Martin crawls towards turn 1, and that looks mechanical, doesn't it? Jamie Day with a big, big problem. The car falling down the order as it came out of turn 17, and Day coasts out of turn 1. If he can get to the pit lane, then that's about as far as he will get. Big, big disappointment for the British driver. 6th yesterday with Ruben Del Sart. So he's trying to nurse it back, but no, pulls off the road. Is it not suspension related, is it? It looked like the car wouldn't turn initially, but maybe on the radio the team have said no, just park it. The incident between Voisin and Perisuti has been noted by race control, and here is Alexander Hartwig. Now he still needs to push on, and he's flashing the lights at Igor Egelchik, because although Egelchik's on his last warning for track limits, he's come the right side of them. He's not continued to push, and he's not transgressed since. So therefore Hartwig can't rely on being given the lead, inheriting the lead, with a time penalty going to the white and yellow Porsche ahead of him. He's going to have to do it all on his own. Others on their last warning for track limits now include Perisuti's Alpine that's had that spin, and number 24 likewise, Julien Brichet with the Aston Martin, who got assorted penalties in yesterday's race for track limit abuses. So there is 22, Alexander Hartwig, and in real terms, this is now the lead battle, these two Porsches, because of the 2 time penalties being applied to number 17, the time penalty for track limits and the short pit stop penalty. So Egelchik, 11 tenths ahead of Alexander Hartwig. There they are. Getting a replay of Jamie Day. Now, we saw the car slow. He'd be trying to get past Stefan Bostanjiv and bounces over the curb, goes up the inside, hits the curb again. Not sure whether he hit the Porsche or not, but certainly he'd had 2 curb strikes, and there looks something breaks as he turns through the corner. So suspension dramas for Jamie Day. The car limps on, but you saw it struggle to turn up at turn 2, so he knew instantly that there was a problem. And there's the lead gap continuing to come down. Number 22 Porsche edging ever closer to the back of Igor Egelchik with still 16 minutes to go. A silver win yesterday, if not an outright win, for Hartwig and Sharp, but they would dearly love an outright victory to crown the weekend, wouldn't they? Out of the Sachs Curva left-hander, they will come now a little bit nearer to Igor Egelchik. Nikolai Moller-Madsen will be nervously watching on from the pit wall, hoping that Egelchik can preserve this lead for another quarter of an hour, which is a big ask, given how close Alexander Hartwig is getting lap after lap after lap. And you can see how hard Hartwig is pushing by the amount of curb that's being used coming out of turn 17. Over the line again.
10-second time penalty for car 23 for unsafe release.
So more penalties come. 23 is Stefan Bostanjiv's red Porsche, that also has dropped back down the order into 16th place. So even though it's a big pit lane at Hockenheim, such a crowded entry, one or two of the teams being a little bit cavalier in releasing the cars, and the stewards have a look at all the evidence and make a ruling on it. It is game on for the race lead, isn't it now? 14 minutes and change on the clock, and finally Alexander Hartwig has got himself close enough to be a realistic challenger for the lead. Through they turn, down now into the right-hander that brings them towards turn 7 and then the Mercedes arena. Traffic up the road as well, but Hartwig has chipped and chipped and chipped away, and now he is right there looking menacing. the two Caymans. Nose to tail. Down they dive. Now, through the right of turn 12 into the stadium, and Hartvig thinks about a move on the inside. He's on the lights again, trying to distract Egelchik, force a mistake out of him. So Igor Egelchik may not have the pace, but now we'll see how good he is under pressure. Moves across, covers the line at 16. No chance there for Alexander Hartvig to sprint up the inside, so he's going to have to bide his time. 13 minutes are available to him, so time he does have. Leaders go by into turn 1 again here. Egelchik now feeling the pressure. He's bounced up the curb at turn 1. On the lights again is Hartvig as they come up towards turn 2. The gap is there on the inside. Hartvig commits, but he's not fully alongside. He's hoping that Egelchik's going to be slow off the corner, which he is, but Hartvig's on the outside line, which is a little bit longer. If he can stand his ground, he'll have the inside line when they get to the hairpin, but that's quite a long way in the distance. Here they come, side by side, the two Porsches. Alexander Hartvig on the inside of the blue and green livery, the white and yellow colours carried by Igor Egelchik. Change for the race lead. Hartvig has done it. Alexander Hartvig for Allied Racing goes through on the inside line. Now they're second and third on the road, but the car ahead has got sufficient penalties to drop it down to 7th place right now. So this in real terms is the lead battle. Just wonder what Hartvig might even be able to do about Heremans. Now he's caught and passed Egelchik. Could he even get onto terms with the Chevrolet on merit before the very end? 12 minutes of the race still to go. Now number 48 is under investigation. Bailey Voisin for causing a collision. We saw that up at the Spitzkehrer when he got into the back of the Alpine. If you're a steward in GT4 European Series, you are busy. Never plan an early dinner because there's always a lot to look at. There, Julien Piguet goes through, 5th overall, the leading AM. 6th on his tail is Hendrik Still, the leading Pro-Am. But the overall situation is going to change, I think, before much longer. Hendrik Still getting closer and closer to Piguet. Bounces very, very wide there, Julien Piguet coming out of 16, and Hendrik Still goes past him. So he gains an advantage by the other car being off the road. So over the line, Hendrik Still has done it. And that puts him into the top 6. And off the road is an Alpine, and that's in the middle of the road, coming out of turn 9. Now, which Alpine is that? Is that the Paul Cowpay car? No, that's survived, that's gone by. And we'll see whether it gets going again. So, a stranded Alpine briefly. There is Hendrik Still, pushing on. And the answer to the Alpine situation is that the car was battling with Kevin Jimenez, 3 wide, and Laurent Hergon just lost it, didn't he, in the middle. Round the outside went Davide Meloni in the repaired BMW from yesterday, but I think that car has got going again. So the Alpine back on track, the road clear, and you can see now how Hartvig is sprinting away from Egelchik. Robert Consony is still there, oh sorry, Benjamin Lariche in Consony's Audi is still there in 4th place. But as the leaders come once more up out of the arena towards the stadium, Kenny Herreman's last lap was a 1:49.8 and Hartvig's was a 1:50.1, but now it's clear track space. Let's see what can be done. This is how Hendrik Still took the place away from Julien Piguet, who was totally committed and was off the road, and a very easy pass for Hendrik Still, like a back marker driving off the road to give way to a lead car. Hendrik Still needed no second invitation. That said, Julien Piguet is still miles clear in the AM class from Charles Dawson and then Davide Meloni in 3rd. Hendrik Still over the curb this time. Heremans goes through, leads the way. 27 laps are in the book, 10 minutes and change to go. And 6 seconds is the margin over Hartvig, who is still not lapping quite as quickly. So Alexander Hartvig is looking safe for 2nd on the road and would inherit the win. Out of turn 2 goes number 110, Paul Cowpay, who is on the back of Alex Papadopoulos. Mercedes versus Alpine Again, two very different styles of car. The long-nosed Mercedes with all of that grunt, and yet the Alpine with its smaller engine but turbocharged sits on the tail of it, and he's ready to make a move, going up now towards the hairpin. The BMW ahead is Michael Schrei going after Victor Weyrich, so the Silver Championship leading car runs 8th on the road, 6th in class. Kicking up the dust there, Paul Calpe, as he puts himself in a position to challenge the Mercedes. Right there behind them is Greg Gilbert, who's lost an awful lot of time relative to Hendrik Still. He is remaining 2nd in class, is Greg Gilbert, but he's certainly fallen a long way back. Leaders blast their way once more into the stadium. Clock ticks on down. Victor Weyrich is wide, and Michael Schrei, who comes from a great racing family, tucked up behind him, looking to try to force a mistake out of the Aston Martin just up the road ahead. Michael Schrei's father, very experienced Porsche racer. Michael himself has raced not only in this, but in the ADAC's GT4 and the DTM supporting GT4 Championship, and in the Young Timer, so recent historic races, if you like, for 80s cars on the Nordschleife. So he's an experienced driver, and Michael Schrei turns now up through turn 1. Challenged by Paul Calpe in the Alpine to go 9th, and he's done it. Up the inside line into the hairpin. Moves himself ahead there of Alex Papadopoulos, with Greg Gilbert tantalising close behind, but not close enough to make a move. And then behind him is Berke Besler, 2nd in the BMW division, if you like, doing his level best to close as well. 7 more minutes of the race to run. And it's game on now for 3rd on the road. A sliding Igor Egelchik being caught by Benjamin Lariche, and he in turn is being reeled in by Hendrik Still. Kenny Harriman's penalties are going to drop him to 6th place now. Victor Weyrich, Michael Schrei all delaying themselves by battling.
Drive-through for car 48 for causing a collision in turn 6.
And 48 is Bailey Voisin, who is in 19th place. So drive-through for Bailey Voisin. Having a tough time of it at the moment in the Aston Martin after his great season, if you remember, in 21 in the United Autosports McLaren. Hendrik Still then the winner yesterday outright, leading in Pro-Am and hustling on behind Benjamin Lariche, who in turn is on the back of Igor Egelchik as they come over the line. Kenny Harriman's leads on the road by only 6.6 seconds from Hartwig, but Alexander Hartwig in turn is not catching, so there's a stalemate there. It's going to be the penalty that gives the win to the Porsche, but then behind Egelchik, Lariche and Still, they can shuffle their positions, and their battling might well throw a lifeline to the Chevrolet. Out of turn 4 they come. So Egelchik 3rd, Lariche 4th, 5th is Still. And now look, the Porsche gets onto the back of the Audi, and that enables Igor Egelchik's Porsche to break away a little bit as they head towards the hairpin at the Spitzkehre. Through they turn, and now the run down into the right-hander of turn 7, where up the road Alexander Hartwig is getting away from Igor Egelchik, and now lining up for a move is Benjamin Lariche. He looks at the inside, goes deep into 7, looking to get the switch back. Got to be mindful though of where Hendrik Still is in the Porsche, and the answer to that is very close indeed. Down towards the stadium they come, speed building on this part of the circuit. Dive into the stadium, turn right. It was here that Robert Consony made contact with the Chevrolet yesterday and put the Audi in the gravel. But right now, Benjamin Lariche is on the attack. He's on the defence as well as Hendrik Still looks to try to unsettle the Audi. 4 more minutes of the race remain as the cars again come in towards turn 16 through that little S, that little flick, and then into the double apex right, 16 and 17. It's really one long corner, but marked as 2 separate right-handers. Through they turn. Over the timing line, Harriman's is leading by 6.666 seconds over Hartwig. Egelchik third, then it's Lariche still, and Piguet in sixth. Debris on track at turn 1, we understand now. That is turn 1 in the background. Not instantly apparent as the leaders come by. So a flying lap is at 1 minute 49. It's going to be this lap, maybe even 2 more. The Hockenheim circuit, just over 4.5 kilometres in length. 17 corners if you include these little kinks that lead one into the other. And here at turn 6, one of the big overtaking opportunities. The Pro-Am leading Porsche from the W&S Motorsport stable of Hendrik Still, taking over from Max Kronberg, accelerates them now on the back of Igor Egelchik, who's lost out to Benjamin Lariche in the Audi. So the Audi has cleared the Porsche. Now Still comes up to have a go at Egelchik, and truthfully, he ought to be able to go by with his many, many more years of experience. So Benjamin Lariche hustling on, needing the points here to try to stem the advantage that Schrei and Piana have in the championship. Julien Piguet with Alban Baruti still looking oh so strong in AM, and another victory beckons there. Hendrik Still has a look to the inside, but no way through. Igor Egelchik then, after being excluded from yesterday's race, doing a good job here, hanging onto the position. And right with him as they come into turn 17. Hendrik Still, but you can see now with Egelchik having to go defensive, that is enabling Benjamin Lariche to get away. Over the line they go, 2 more minutes to run. The race leader, Kenny Heremans, will have time for this lap and 1 more. Flag goes out the first time the leader crosses the line once the time has elapsed, in this case an hour. They have 1 more championship race to come at Barcelona. And then new for this year, the Endurance 6-hour GT4 race at Vallelonga. The storied 6 hours of Rome this year runs for GT4 cars. And lots of hard work going on now towards the end of this season to attract the teams from Germany, from the European, from the French championships, maybe from Britain as well, to go and do that race. Big look on the inside line. Hendrik Still tries to squeeze up on the inside there. Igor Egelchik fends him off then as they sprint down now towards the right-hander of turn 7, and Still has the line. He's going to get the place as well. Egelchik tries to brave it out on the outside, but he runs out of road. Off he goes. He caught the dirt on the outside line, lost grip, went off the road, and also past him goes the lapped Porsche. The one to monitor next is going to be Julien Piguet behind him. So back on track is, as you can see, Igor Egelchik, but Neumann's lapped Porsche gets ahead as well, and it means that Egelchik has to go on the back foot to fend off Piguet now for 5th place. Julien Piguet looks on the inside line. Just over half a minute to go. Kenny Heremans will squeeze 1 more lap out of the race as Egelchik fends off Piguet, or does he? Because Julien Piguet looks on the inside line, but he can't find a way through into turn 16. So that means that Heremans leads Hartwig, Lariche will be 3rd, and 4th it's going to be Hendrik Still, the Pro-Am leader. And if you add 5 seconds and then 11 seconds to the time of Kenny Heremans, that's going to put the on-the-road leading car into 6th place. So big, big frustration, but the track limit penalties down to the drivers and the short pit stop down to the team. So they've both done wrong, and there in strife is the Julian Rodriguez Audi, the sister speed car entry to Lariche, and that is in 33rd place, but has picked up a fair chunk of damage. So on the last lap, but it's not going to be a winning car, even if it's the leading car. The Chevrolet, Dante Raponge and Kenny Heremans clear by 7.5 seconds. Now, were it only the track limit penalty, then they'd be clear, but it isn't, because there is the extra short pit stop penalty to factor in as well. So it goes from bad to worse, really, for the Chevrolet team, and it's going to give the win to Alexander Hartwig. There is the Chevrolet with the damaged Audi behind, having lost a lap, but heading towards the end of the race. So It is going to be a first outright win, but a second class win of the weekend for Alexander Hartwig and Nathan Schaap. And so near and yet so far for the Chevrolet. Kept out of trouble in terms of incidents today, but not in terms of penalties. And so as the car now heads towards the line, Kenny Heremans is going to win on the road, but as the checkered flag is waved, it's a rather Pyrrhic victory. Nobody's celebrating on the pit wall. Kenny Heremans comes across the line ahead of Alexander Hartwig then, who will win the race, with Nathan Schaap second, Benjamin Lariche and Robert Constantine. Good for the championship, that good for points. Pro-Am won by Hendrik Still and Max Kronberg, and they are third overall. And then third silver is Igor Egelchik and Nikolai Moller-Madsen. The winning Am, Julien Piguet with Albin Varuti. And then the second in Pro-Am, interesting this, is Antoine Leclerc, who gets ahead of Christophe Amon and Greg Gilbert. So that means that they don't win the championship. They had to outscore the Alpine driver by 10 points, and they haven't. They finished behind him. So after Christophe Amon was way clear early on, Greg Gilbert rather faded, oddly, in his stint. So it is Porsche, Alpine, Audi in Pro-Am. And in Am, Porsche wins, Julien Piguet and Albin Varuti. Porsche second, Charles Dawson and Gustavo Xavier. And BMW third, Paolo and Davide Meloni. So there is a suspicion that Benjamin Lariche gave Igor Egelchik a bit of a tap to take him wide. That's going to be looked at by the officials, as are lots of other elements of that race, to make sure that the result is the right one. Correct one. And the drivers, as you can see, slowly making their way round to the pit lane, partly to get the pickup on the tyres for the weight, for the ride height, and also to make sure that they don't waste any fuel, and therefore there's enough in the tank for the regulation fuel sample to be taken. And Hendrik Still trying to make sure he's got as much rubbish on the tyres as he can for the ride height and for the weight as he comes down towards the Spitzkehre. Just drives completely off the road. Those hot tyres will pick up anything that's lying down on the road, and rubber gets junked to one side. That's Alexander Hartwig, the race winner, and sixth in the end for the Chevrolet team. So Hartwig the winner from Lariche and Still, Egelchik fourth, Piguet fifth, and Kenny Heremans in sixth position. But the last GT4 European Series race that went without a full course yellow or a safety car, to my mind, is quite a long time ago. So it does rather prove that driving standards are improving all the time. And that was a proper race, wasn't it? With some excellent driving by many, including Albin Varuti and Julien Piguet to win Am fifth overall, and Albin Varuti running in the top three for much of his stint. So the cars come down the pit lane. Drivers will get their regulation Pirelli winners' caps and then in due course go to the podium. But Alexander Hartwig and Nathan Schaap the winners, ahead of Benjamin Lariche and Robert Constantine, with Hendrik Still and Max Kronberg in third. Then Ivan Egelchik and Nikolai Moller-Madsen clear of the Am winning Julien Piguet, Albin Varuti Porsche, and sixth with its two penalties, Kenny Heremans and Dante Raponge. Paul Calpe seventh with Simon Terman, Beke Besler eighth with Tom Edgar, ninth Antoine Leclerc and Jean-Bernard Bouvet getting ahead of Greg Gilbert and Christophe Amon, Victor Weyrich and Matteo Villagomez also ahead of the Audi by the end of the race. So, as you anticipated, the GT4 European Series, excellent racing, and it's another Porsche win this weekend. This time it's from the silver class, the silver category. Alexander Hartwig and Nathan Schaap are victorious in the second round of the weekend of GT4 European Series powered by Rafa Racing Club. And only a handful of non-finishers. So although yesterday we had that sizable incident towards the end, today a much calmer and much cleaner race as the drivers arrive into the Parc Fermé area, the top three from each of the three classes required. And then in due course the drivers will head to the podium. We might be able to hear from our class winners in advance of that. There is the winning car, still crawling round. It's a very slow in lap for Alexander Hartwig. He's in the stadium, but he wants to make absolutely sure that not a drop of fuel is wasted. and that he picks up as much rubbish on the tyres as he possibly can. So talk amongst yourselves for a while we wait for the outright winner. There is second placed Benjamin Lariche. It's the Pirelli hat, Robert Consani, standing with his side to the camera, and they're all awaiting the winning car. Alexander Hartvig crawls round to the pits. So Alexander Hartvig and Nathan Schaap taking honours today outright and yesterday in silver. So very good weekend, very useful weekend in terms of championship points. The same is true, certainly in this race, of Lariche and Consani, given that Gabriele Piana and Michael Schrei ended up 13th overall. Let's hear from the AM winners first. Julien Piguet, Albin Varuti, victorious again, and then with Gemma.
Boys, congratulations. That is a class win. Julien, you brought that one home.
Yeah, very good race. Amazing start from Albin. I think he was close to be first overall. Unbelievable. And after, he gave me the wheel, and I did a second stint okay. I finished with not too much fuel, so I was lift a little bit at the end.
Just playing it safe, but Albin setting it up perfectly for Julien to take the wheel.
He did an amazing job. He was fast. At the end, he was one of the fastest on the track. We had a perfect weekend, so let's enjoy now.
And now you can put your hat on and celebrate as well.
Sure.
Congratulations to you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good drive by Albin Varuti. Interesting what they're saying about being short on fuel, because normally you would expect one of these races to go full course yellow and or safety car. Neither today, so absolutely green flag conditions all the way. Maybe that was another reason why Alexander Hartvig was crawling around to make sure that there was enough fuel in the tank. He's delighted, so is Nathan Schaap, so is the Allied Racing team. They score honours in race 2 of the weekend in the GT4 European Series, powered by Rafa Racing Club. So there you've got the top 3 finishers across the classes. The podium is being dressed ready, and the drivers will be there very shortly, ready for the celebrations to get underway. But before all of that, we better hear from Nathan Schaap and Alexander Hartvig. An outright win today. They're with Gemma.
Nathan, congratulations. It was a fantastic race and a fantastic weekend, actually, all round.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely a good weekend. Winning the silver twice really shows our hard work, I think, for this season.
Absolutely, and Alexander just joining us slightly there. Quick moment for a photo, but we'll grab the photo, but we'll grab a quick word while you're doing it, Alex, if we can. A fantastic drive, and the smile says everything.
Yeah, man, I think this is a perfect weekend for us. There's never been better. Like, it's completely unbelievable. Like, I really don't understand it. It's crazy because we have been fighting for this for so long now, and eventually now it happens. So it's crazy, like, really.
Congratulations, well done, enjoy it.
Thank you.
Sometimes the balance of performance is with you or against you. It seems to have been with the Porsches this weekend, and a very well-driven car allied to that brings a race win outright for Alexander Hartvig and Nathan Schaap today. They're in super slow-mo. You can see the car bouncing over the curb, the suspension working overtime, rattling off that corrugated curb, and then down towards turn 17. So Pro-Am today, won by Hendrik Still and Max Kronberg, and they were the outright winners yesterday. They also, therefore, take 2 class wins this weekend.
Hendrix, Max, that rounds off a perfect weekend, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely great. Still unbelievable with 2 times P1 in the Pro-Am, and today with P3 overall after we started from P13. So really unbelievable, great weekend, great job from Hendrik. So really happy about the result. Yeah.
Absolutely. What was that second stint like for you?
Well, I mean, it was a crazy stint, unbelievable. I think Max gave me the car somewhere on P11 or something like this, mega stint by him between all the silver cars. So this was already amazing, and then I had a car which was flying from the SRO Motorsports Group, so wow, I don't know. P3 overall, 2 wins, pole positions, this is perfect this weekend.
Absolutely, you've set the precedence for the remainder of the season. Well done to you both. Make your way to the podium, lads.
Thank you very much. So.
Okay, thank you.
So great job done by Hendrik Still and Max Kronberg this weekend. An outright win and 2 class wins, mirroring what Alexander Hartvig and Nathan Schaap have done. Albin Varuti and Julien Piguet, just the 2 class wins. So all 6 victories, if you like, by Porsches this weekend. So the Cayman's having a great weekend. You could argue if you're another brand that the BOP has not been kind to you, but it's been generous to the Porsches, but that isn't always the case, as we've seen, because there's been a real spread of winning brands over the course of the season. So, super slow-mo of the winning cars, and the drivers then are ready at the podium. So, as soon as the nod is given, the first of the class podiums can be underway. So the SRO Championship and event teams are there. All the trophies lined up, ready to be given to the podium presenter, which potentially would be Peter Koren from Pirelli, who was doing the honours yesterday. And so the first of those podiums beckons. So drivers are there, some taking on water, understandably, after a hot stint in the cars. And just 2 races, 1 event to go in the championship. So Rafa Martinez is going to make the presentations. And Pro-Am brought forward first, where Greg Gilbert and Christophe Amel take third in the Audi that comes from the Saint-Eloque junior team, Sébastien Chataille's team. Then for second place, it is Antoine Leclerc and his co-driver, Jean-Bernard Bouvet, the Alpine drivers. And then for the top step of the podium in Pro-Am, as they were yesterday, Hendrik Still and Max Kronberg, after another epic drive in the WNS Motorsport Porsche. 2 out of 2, and an outright win on top of all of that for the German team. So they're the Pro-Am winners, and trophies to be presented by Rafa Martinez. And if you're wondering why he's in his overalls, it's because he's going to be on track later on in the day in the McLaren Trophy Europe. But Rafael Martinez, big enthusiast of motorsport, and they're with the trophies for Jean-Bernard Bouvet and Antoine Leclerc. And then for the winners, for Hendrik Still and for Max Kronberg. But first there is the team's award to go to Allied Racing. And there are the trophies for the winners. Quite spectacular trophies. And handshakes all round. So Hendrik Still and Max Kronberg come out on top in Pro-Am for the 2nd time this weekend. Champagne at the driver's feet. And a very happy podium. Hendrik Still and Max Kronberg take Pro-Am honours in race 2 here at Hockenheim. So Greg Gilbert and Christophe Amel remain as the championship leaders ahead of Antoine Leclerc. Then Hendrik Still with Max Kronberg 3rd. 4th, Dirk Villiger, who's no longer in the championship, ahead of Markus Lungstrass and Lawrence Stegman. So 2 more podiums await, and the Silvers and the Ams await their trophies, as the Greg Gilbert and Christophe Amel Audi duo continues to lead in Pro-Am. So there, the podium being dressed, the champagne is there, and in a moment, so the drivers will step forward. For 3rd in silver, after being excluded yesterday, a much better result today for Nikolai Müller-Madsen and Igor Egolchik, the Porsche drivers. Then for 2nd place, also a better result than being in the gravel yesterday, Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consani. And then class winners for the second time this weekend, but this time outright winners, the Allied Racing Porsche duo of Nathan Sharp and Alexander Hartwig. And the German Allied Racing team represented on the podium too. So the photograph's done, and then the trophies will be presented to a very, very happy Alexander Hartwig, milking this for everything it's worth. But Rafa Martinez steps forward once more with the trophies, the founder of the Rafa Racing Club. So the trophies go to Igor Egelchik, who's quite a revelation in his first year in the championship, and Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Then to Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consani. And then the winning silvers, the outright winners, Allied Racing. The team takes the trophy. And then the drivers, Alexander Hartwig and Nathan Sharp, receive the Hockenheim shaped trophies and a handshake from Rafa Martinez as well. Extra trophies for Nathan Sharp. And so the champagne awaits for the drivers. Some might choose to run, others are going to join in, and if you've had your first outright victory, it's quite a moment for Nathan Sharp and Alexander Hartwig. And poor old Nathan not able to get the cork out of the bottle. He's there now. So Igor Egelchik. So what has all that done to silver in the championship? Well, Gabriele Piano and Michael Schrei still lead from Berke Besler and Tom Edgar, and Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consani are still third. The not racing Toyota crew of Etienne Shelley and Antoine Potti are ahead of Alexander Hartwig and Nathan Sharp, but might well have to look to their laurels when we get to the final races in Barcelona. So good weekend for Porsches, and 2 class wins, catapulting Alexander Hartwig and Nathan Sharp up the order. Another podium finish this weekend for Davide and Paolo Meloni. They were second yesterday, but with a damaged car. Today third, but without any damage. Charles Dawson and Gustavo Xavier take second. And then yet another win for Alban Varuti, his 8th out of 10 races. Julien Piguet, his co-driver, the winning AMS in the AVR Avatar-backed Porsche, and they stand yet again on the top step of the AM podium. So congratulations to Alban Varuti, who is as good as the champion in bronze. The only person that's remotely close on points is the man that co-drives for him. So there's no chance of being overhauled. So Alban Varuti, champion in AM. Julien Piguet taking photographs from the podium as the trophies go to the Melonis, dad and lad, to Davide and to Paolo, then to Charles Dawson in his first season in the championship, but with very, very limited experience, getting on with the job, doing a good job here for second, and then to the winning team. Allied Racing has had 1 win, WNS has had 1 win today, now it's AVR that has a win. The French team, and there's Julien Piguet and now Alban Varuti receive their trophies as well. Great job done in what has really been a Porsche weekend. It was a bit BMW based, didn't it, at Misano. But here, it's been all about the Porsche Caymans. They have taken all 6 available wins across the 3 classes in the 2 races. So the champagne spray awaits. And the winners escape, but others less fortunate as the BMW team of Paolo and Davide Meloni soaked Charles Dawson and Gustavo Xavier. So Alban Barutin, the champion from Julian Piguet, but then Kevin Jimenez and Florent Grisot are ahead of Niki Leutwiler and Ivan Jacoma, with then Davide Meloni, Alain Fette and Laurent Hergon next in the standings. Barcelona is where the final championship races are going to be, and more action guaranteed there. Action in this race as well, as we can see in the highlights. It all began with Dante Raponge taking the lead ahead of Nikolai Bolomadsen into the first corner, and Nikolai Bolomadsen by the end of the lap was able to get himself into the lead, but he'd been off the circuit to do it, so he was told to give the place back. He duly did, and then Harriman's car, Dante Raponge at the wheel of it, was able to retake the advantage at the hairpin. Pit stop cycle through, Alexander Hartvig coming in to replace Nathan Sharp, and Greg Gilbert replacing Christophe Amon in number 42 Audi, but dropping back behind. Hendrik Still change for the class lead, and the Audi would lose another place as well before the very end. After a win in Pro-Am yesterday, on top of an outright win, Hendrik Still and Max Kronberg looking for the double. It would come their way, as into second on the road when Alexander Hartvig, and with the leading Chevrolet having 2 time penalties to be applied, that was enough to give it the race honours. Bit of contact between Benjamin Lariche and Igor Egelchik. The Audi going through, coming out of the hairpin. That's being looked at by race officials, with Hendrik Still getting onto the back of the yellow and white Porsche, then on the inside and then ahead as Egelchik ran out of road at turn 7. To the checkered flag though, on the road it would be a Chevrolet win. Kenny Harriman and Dante Raponge taking the flag first, but on corrected times. Allied Racing scoring its first outright win of the season for Nathan Sharp, and Alexander Hartvig victorious in race 2 here at Hockenheim, and a great weekend rather dominated by Porsche.